Good morning, everyone. This is Sean Glyle from the Client Development Team here at MembersFirst. I'd like to thank everybody who's joining us this morning on the MembersFirst Design webinar, so you get a little bit of a sneak peek as to what we do here at MembersFirst and how you can apply that at your club. So today we'll start off the webinar with a few different housekeeping instructions. As you know, everybody is in GoToWebinar. So this webinar is going to consist of a PowerPoint presentation. We will be going through a bunch of different slides and looking at a couple different videos throughout the presentation. I'll walk through the presentation, and then what we will do is we will have everybody stay on the line for some questions and answers after the PowerPoint presentation. Just as a reminder, everybody is on mute, so I cannot hear any questions that are asked. However, in your GoToWebinar panel, on the right-hand side, you'll see that there's an area for you to add questions. Once we are done with the webinar, I'll be sure to hang on the line for a few minutes and go through any questions that the group may have. So without further ado, let's jump in. So MembersFirst, most of you on the call know who we are. Of course, you're either a client of MembersFirst or somebody who is working with us, looking to work with us in the future. But as a whole, MembersFirst, of course, we're very proud of the design work that we do here, not only in the club industry, but with other businesses as well. We've won plenty of prestigious design awards. But the cool thing about the awards that we've won, they're not just in the private club industry. We actually submit our designs to the Interactive Media Council, which is a group of designers that judge designs from all different industries. We like to hold our team to a design standard that is outside just the industry we work in. It helps us be extremely creative. But how do we get there? So a lot of people ask me, how do you guys create such great designs? Well, I honestly think it's about our process. I think our process is one of the best for any marketing agency that we've worked with. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek as to what that is. So our process at MembersFirst, the first step is pre-sale. If you are a current client looking to do a redesign or a potential new client, knowing the scope of your project is super important, not only on our end, but on your end. It helps us evaluate time, how long is it going to be able to take to implement a project, and then scope, what are we building? A builder can't build a house if they don't know how many rooms are going to be in that house. So a true technology partner is going to help you determine your scope in order to maintain within your budget as well. Second step in the process is planning. Our team here at MembersFirst, one of the great things about what we do is we become an extension of your team. It's almost like we're a part of your business. So we're here to help your team get the most out of what your product is. So planning is important. Our project managers at MembersFirst are some of the most organized people. They look at sitemaps all day long. They know how to help you get the most out of your website. So planning is the second phase. Design, advanced design, custom design, designs that'll give you full control of what type of content you have on the site. If you need an area to be editable, well, then our designers work with you to make that come true. So our design team, we look at creating custom designs for all of your content. Build. Once you design it, you need to actually build it. It's the same process you go when you build a house. We are building it with the end user in mind. We're trying to build our sites because we're trying to build our sites in a way that we know will help the user navigate and get to great calls to action in order to, one, either become a more engaged member or customer, or somebody who's actually looking to become a member. So we're trying to help those users get to the end goal, no matter what that end goal is. The fifth step, QA. One, you have to click on every link. You need to make sure every piece works. Now, that's not just us. We need help from you as well. When we're building a site, we need to make sure that we do a thorough QA, and it's not just clicking on every link. It's making sure that, hey, does this work in this browser? Does it work on a tablet breakpoint or a mobile breakpoint? So we need to make sure that we're looking at the site in addition to you. So you need to be able to help us QA the product that we're building together. The sixth step, launch. It's basically when the last 3 months of your hard work is rewarded. You finally get to showcase to the members or your clients what you've been working on for the last 3 to 4 months. So launching it is not where it ends. That just means now it's a living and breathing thing. So post-launch is probably one of the most important pieces of the process. It's the final process, but it's sometimes the most important. Post-launch and support, your team at MembersFirst can help you navigate things that you may not have thought of during the scope process. Or we can also help you review your Google Analytics so that 2 months after the project is launched, you want to make sure that it was effective. So your post-launch is sometimes the step that some clients forget about. It doesn't end once the site goes live. You need to make sure that you're keeping this moving forward. The first step, and sometimes the first mistake that most clients make, is design inspiration. Most people will come to us and say, hey, I've looked at the club next door. What are they doing for design? Well, the club next door may have the best design in the world. They may have the best photography in the world. They may be competing for your clients as well. However, it doesn't make sense for you to look exactly like them. So you want to make sure that your design does not look like the club next door or the club up north or the club out west. You want to make sure that you're creating something that is unique to you, your members, your customers, your business. So how do you get inspiration? One of the things that MembersFirst does, our design team, when they're looking for inspiration, they tend to not look within the club industry. Yes, your photos will help relate it back to the industry we work in, but where do we look? We look outside. We look at places like Christchurch Harbor Hotel. It's a hotel resort over in the UK. The Reefs, it's a hotel in Bermuda. We're looking at lifestyle, luxury, high-end facilities that are actually providing an experience. Okay, so we're looking at hotels. Now, if any of you have ever been on a design call with the team at MembersFirst, you'll also know that we get extremely creative, and sometimes we're looking at funeral homes or companies that actually sell scarves to cats. Now, for those of you who know me on the call, these are two of my favorite sites that I take inspiration from. Our designers challenge you to come up with creative design inspirations so that we can not only make our designs look better, but we can also help you look better as well. Now, where do we find these types of inspirational sites? Well, one place that we look is awards.com, and that's awwwards.com. When we send out the slides to this presentation, you'll be able to click on these and go navigate to those areas yourself. Now, one of the great things about awards.com, there's so many different sites on that site. And this is a quick snapshot as to what that looks like. And the cool part about it is that you can literally go to the site and actually start searching. So, for example, if I clicked on awards.com, this will bring up this design inspiration website, and I'll move this over here right in front of our presentation. And on here, as you can see, I could go up to the search bar and just type in something for restaurant. And what this will do is it will give me a ton of different websites that are related to the restaurant industry. So think of how creative you could get with finding sites that actually make sense for you. Now, the one thing that you'll want to do is don't pay attention to the photos. The photos don't mean anything yet. They will mean something when you develop your photos for your site, but design layouts can provide you great inspiration, and awards.com is one of the areas that we use here at MembersFirst. Now, I want to talk about a few different design trends that we've seen over time here at MembersFirst. Some of the most recent ones that have come up, and I speak with our designers every day. They inspire me to create different designs for our team, but then they help build it together with you. So the first design trend that we see in design today is personalized marketing language. One of the most important things for a site is that you want to make sure that you're talking to me, not at me. One of the great things that you could do is create a dialogue between you and your customer. You know, this is a great website here from Vista Blue down on Singer Island. They took their navigation, home, residence, lifestyle, and team, and they created a dialogue with their user by adding the small word your in front of it. So your home, your residence, your lifestyle, your team. It creates or it evokes emotion. It creates a dialogue between you and your user. Think about that when you're actually putting content on your page. Design trend number 2, layered design. Most of you, as you navigate the web, have probably recognized some sites that use this. Here's an example of the Plaza Club in Honolulu. One, they're creating a dialogue, a passion for fine dining. So step number 1, great. Layered design, you can see that the photos are layered on top of each other. Now, one of the great things about this is that it offers up a different way to showcase photography, but it also combines 2 images that relate to one concept, dining. So it allows people to have a little bit more of an abstract feel when you're organizing your content on your website. So that's design trend number 2, layered design. Design trend number 3, social media. Now, there hasn't been a presentation that I've seen over the last 5 years that hasn't included some form of social media content. Well, if you're in the conversation, then you need to showcase the conversation. So design trend number 3 is social media integration. Once you are on these platforms, now how do you bring them to your website? Well, keep in mind, again, let's look outside of the industry. Western New England University has done a great way to showcase their Instagram feed in a collage, a colorful collage format within their design. As you'll notice, it's over here on the left-hand side. Now let's click into this and take a quick little look at the video. One great thing you'll see here is they start off with a nice looping video as their hero image. As you scroll down, you'll notice that they've not only created their university hashtag, WNE, but they also create a colorful collage of their Instagram feed, which makes for a great design element on their homepage. Moving on, now let's take a look at Woodshed Production. They took a similar approach as to what Western New England did, but they created a collage of their Instagram feed. They had some fun with the language called Instagramming, but they went with a black and white layout, which matches the color palette of their entire design. However, as you hover over these images, it will actually turn them to full color. If you click on them, it will take you directly to the post on Instagram. Another great way to kind of showcase great photography and social media. Philly Cricket Club. Now, they do a couple different things over here at the Philly Cricket Club. And we'll move a quick little video in here. And we will play. Now, the Philly Cricket Club, they do a couple of great things here. Now, they are on multiple social media networks. You can see they're integrating Facebook. They're integrating their Twitter conversation. But they've also taken a similar approach as to Western New England and to Woodshed, and they actually incorporated their Instagram feed on the bottom of their page. As you hover over, you can see that there were 74 likes on that image. If you click on that image, it takes you directly to that post on Instagram. Another great way where we take inspiration from outside of the club industry and moving them inside of the club industry. Now, we all know all the big social media networks: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. and some of you probably have Snapchat accounts out there as well. But we also have a lot of clubs that are venturing into Pinterest as well. Bonita Bay Club down in Southwest Florida, they do a variety of different things when it comes to their social media connections. Now, and they've incorporated it directly within their design. So the great part about this is that, yes, they're doing something similar to Philly Cricket with Facebook and Twitter, but they took it one step further and incorporated their Pinterest page. So you don't have to have a Pinterest account to have all the content. You can actually gather it right there from your website. As you can see, this is going over to their boards. And if I click on my wedding ideas board, it now pulls in the information from their Pinterest account. Another great way to incorporate social media into your design. Design trend number 4, video and photography content. It's extremely important. You know, the old saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, then that means video is worth 1,000 pictures. And great photography and great video is something that, to be honest with you, a lot of people didn't pay attention to in the past. You know, they weren't investing in great photography or video content. However, that's happening more and more these days where people are focusing on great video. With the ease of use, one, whether you have your own drones at your facility or you outsource that to a partner, getting good, great aerial images is super important. But how can you use video and video and photography content in a creative fashion? Yes, it's nice to have a professionally done video. However, you could also do a ton of different stuff without it being professionally done. Now, any type of drone photography, tee to green flyovers, you want to make sure that you have a professional for that. However, blog content such as tips from the pros or video bulletins, similar to my friend Chris over here on the left-hand side, the general manager of Thorny Lee Golf Club. Hopefully you will all check out their Instagram account after this presentation. But Chris kind of flipped their weekly bulletin on their head. It's great. Instead of weekly emails, what he's trying to do is capture his audience on social, and he just does a quick little, 30-second clip of what's going on at the club this weekend. As you can see, he had 69 views and a ton of people liked it. Great job, Chris. But you can also look at using, pull out your iPhone, take those quick little videos and add them to your website, whether it's in the form of a blog or video bulletin. Now, you can also move into cinematic productions or using it for member testimonials as well. It does get a little bit more complicated, but you can have a little bit more fun with it. So here are two great clubs, the Cornell Club of New York and Granite Links. Hopefully, those of you who are part of the club the CMAA, you probably noticed an article on Granite Links in the latest Club Management magazine. Well, one unique thing that Granite Links does is that they incorporated video within their design. We'll take a quick peek at it. One of the nice things about this video, yes, it has great music in the background, but they focused on being a member for a day, okay? What does it mean to tee off when the dew is still on the ground? What does it mean to fly over this golf course? What does it mean to have a drink at the bar at the end of the day? So there are great ways to use video in a variety of different ways. You want to make sure that you're using video correctly, but then enforcing the experience online. Now, the last design trend that we'll talk about today is your mobile strategy. Yes, we know that there's a big buzzword out there called responsive web design. Now, responsive web design, in its simplest form, means that everything converts to be viewable on your devices. So you'll notice that is commonly referred to as stacking content, being able to have it adapt to the screen size, whether you're on a tablet, desktop, TV monitor, cell phone, whatever the case may be. But responsive design isn't the end all. Now, Google, everybody knows who that is, of course. Google does approve for mobile optimized content. So if you're mobile optimized, that's great. If you're mobile responsive, that's great too. You want to make sure that responsive design, when you're looking at it, there's a couple pros. I mean, the pro is that everything is mobile. Now, the con is that everything is mobile. Now, it seems strange to have that be both the pro and the con, but the key to a successful implementation is the strategy. You need to determine that the content and the design at your club, does some content need to be optimized, does it need to be responsive, or do you need a mobile app? All three of those play a part in the club's mobile strategy today. So it really takes a partner to be able to help you understand the pros and cons of both of those and figure out what's right for your club. Today we'll focus on just responsive design. Now, if you move in the direction of responsive design, it means that, part of it is it takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer to design those because you need to be able to develop concepts for every breakpoint. Imagine if you had to make sure that you could see all different content in all different devices. The designers need to code out accordingly. So if you're looking at elements on your website, you need to make sure that what do these elements look like on a desktop. This is one portion of Turner Hill's new website where they're focusing on all their amenities, everything from real estate to golf to lifestyle to membership to weddings. Now, that's great on a desktop, looks beautiful. How does this look on a tablet? How does it look on mobile? So keep in mind, there's different breakpoints for each of these devices, which basically means you need more mock-ups. But you need to make sure that you are working with a designer that actually knows kind of which areas to design for, and then how every element is going to work on every device. It's super important in the design process and something that we focus on. Let's do a little recap of today's webinar. So the first thing that you want to focus on, and what I think sets us apart, is the process. You want to make sure that you're not only are you inspiring us, but we want to inspire you. So you want to make sure that you have good design inspiration before you start a project. My recommendation, look outside of the industry because your photography will bring it back to the industry. Personalized marketing language. Again, create a dialogue with your users. Layered design. Get creative in how you lay out your content on your homepage or on interior pages. If you're in the conversation, showcase the conversation. If you're going to showcase the conversation, how do you integrate that into your designs? Video content. If you're in video, get creative with it. And then how do you create a successful mobile strategy? Here are a few elements that we find that helps clubs be successful with their web design. So what we'll do here, that concludes the webinar for today. What we'll do is I'm going to hang on the line here and answer any questions that you may have. Just as a quick reminder, you do have the ability to type in questions in the into the GoToWebinar panel, and I'll be able to answer those in the order they come in. Okay, great. Looks like we've got one question coming in now. Okay. So this one is coming in from Julie. I appreciate the question. It looks like, do responsive websites take longer to build? Great question. The answer is sometimes. There are some companies out there that we have found that actually just kind of build off of templates. So in that case, no, it wouldn't take long to build because you're literally creating a responsive template that has probably been used before, and it's probably pretty easy just to flip-flop photos. But at our company, at MembersFirst, it does take a little bit longer to build out responsive websites, mainly because of the mock-up process. That was one of the last design trends that we talked about in the webinar. It does take our team a little bit longer to build responsive sites because we're building them custom. And so each project that we have to create different types of mock-ups for each of those different breakpoints. Keep in mind, breakpoints for desktop, tablet, mobile, and we need to create those not only for your homepage, but we also need to create those for your interior public and private pages. So in most cases, yes, it does take a little bit longer to create responsive websites. Great question. Thanks, Julie. All right, I've got one more coming in here. It looks like it has to do with the social media design trend. Questions coming in. I really like the Facebook slider integration. How do I update that slider so that my Facebook posts show up? So good question on that part of it. All the social media integrations that we showed today in the webinar, whether it's through the Facebook slider, the Twitter slider, Pinterest, Instagram, all of that content is shown through an API that where our company connects into those other companies, and we pull the content. So, for example, the posts that you post on Facebook will automatically appear in your feed. That creates the design element. Same thing for Instagram. So you'll want to make sure that if you are going to incorporate a social media design element into your website, you want to make sure that you're producing good content. If you're not producing good content, those will show up with areas that will be stale. So if you're going to be in the conversation, make sure that you are continually posting good content. I've got one question that just came in. It comes up on a lot of our webinars. Are you going to email us the slides? Yes. So we will email the slides. If you are a MembersFirst client, you will also notice on the administrative homepage, you will notice on the right-hand side, probably early next week, we will put up not only the recorded webinar, but we'll also put a link to the slides. That way you can click on the links and go to those different websites that we showcased. The other thing that we will do for those of you who are not MembersFirst clients, I'll also be sending an email out to those who attended today, both with the slides and the recorded version. Okay, we've got one more coming in here. How often do people redesign their website? It depends. A while, within the last, they used to be able to, clients, it depends on the industry that you're in. So in our case, in the private club industry, people used to be able to get away with redesigning their site every 4 to 5 years. However, clubs are now starting to play catch up with what they're doing tech-wise. So their marketing communications plans, what I've seen is actually it's moved from every 4 to 5 years down to every 2 to 3 years. In most cases, people are now adopting the concept of doing a evolutionary design approach versus a revolutionary design approach, which means that you're continually investing in your content. Now, the good part about that is that, one, if you are a MembersFirst client, we do offer a loyalty program for all of our clients where we split the cost with you. We want to make sure that, yes, you stay up to date, but we also want to make sure that it's not always coming out of your budget alone. So for those of you who are MembersFirst clients, make sure you check in with me or Dawn Taylor or any of your client services managers to figure out what types of loyalty rewards you have on your account. Great question. Okay, we've got another question coming in here. How often should you plan to update your social media sites to avoid being stale? Well, So great question, Bill. One of the keys when it comes to social media is think of it as a conversation. Would you keep talking to people if they stop talking to you? Probably not. So one of the things that you want to do is that you want to make sure that you're continually offering good content. You're being a part of the conversation. There's no magic number as to how many posts will help you be successful in 1 week. In an ideal world, a couple times a week should be okay to start. Once you start getting the hang of different content, then that's when you start increasing your posts. But when you get really good with your social media strategy, you're not only posting from the club, but you're curating content that maybe other people have posted about you, such as members, such as other community events. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce has an event at your club, or maybe there was a youth camp or an article in the paper, something like that. So you're actually not only creating your own content, but you could be curating other people's content in order to make sure that you're not stale on social media networks. So great question. There's no easy answer to it, but a couple times a week should be a good start. However, once you get the hang of it, you're going to want to be posting more and more. You want to make sure that you can stay in the conversation because platforms like Facebook have algorithms that if you're not engaged with your user, your information is not going to appear in their feed. So you want to stay on their top of mind. So great question, Bill. Okay, we've got another question coming in here about, looks like another one about responsive design. If we do a responsive design, will it help our website get found better in Google? Good question. Google does recognize responsive design as being beneficial. So it will naturally help, or it will help your natural ranking. However, it's not the only thing. Google does like mobile optimized designs as well, depending on the type of content that you're putting on there. There's a lot of other, I guess, tricks to the trade as to how to get found in Google. There's a couple different ways to do it. One, search engine optimization is always key, kind of trying to rank organically for those keywords. But then there's also, for those clubs, there's also paid versions. There's paid versions of using things like Google AdWords or Facebook ads. You'll notice if you're on Instagram, you have now some of those sponsored posts as well. So responsive design isn't going to be the magic cure to have you be found on Google, but it doesn't hurt. There are a variety of different things that you can do to help your business or your club, make their way to the top of the search engines. But there's no magic sauce. There's a lot of tricks to the trade, which our marketing services team can certainly help out with. If you are a MembersFirst client, make sure you check out our webinar section in the Learning Center. We did a whole webinar, I think it was 2 months ago, on good practices for being found through search engines. So great question. All right, great. I'll hang on the line here for, it looks like that was our last question. But what I'll do is I'll hang on the line for a few minutes just in case there's any other that come to the question and answer portion of the webinar. Again, for all of you who have joined the webinar, great questions, appreciate them, and I do appreciate you joining us today. Okay, great. So that looks like that was our last question. Again, thank you for joining us on a Friday morning. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.